of our lives and say we have fought the good fight and we have finished the race and we have kept the faith because we never gave in and gave up on what God had commissioned us to do. SOZO City Church will endure. SOZO City Church will continue to grow. SOZO City Church will fulfill that which God has mandated her to fulfill. And we will fight the good fight and we will keep the faith because I have decided to give my whole life for my whole life to that which God has called me to. We can talk about the story leading up to this all we want, but the reality is, and I think many of you would know, just the reality of that there's always a great chasm and a great journey that exists between the call and the fulfillment of that call. And my, has it been a journey?
And I think that's why God gives you a vision and a dream and gets you excited about it. And there's a reason why he doesn't say this is going to be the step-by-step on how you're going to get there, because I think if we all knew what the step-by-step to get to the dream or to the vision, I don't know if we would sign up.
No. No one prepares you for losing your building 10 days before launch. No one prepares you that when you try and launch a church, it doesn't actually launch, and you kind of figure out how to keep what you have and keep enough momentum and enough excitement, enough faith in what we're building and what we see in our mind's eye long enough until we can actually launch and have a place to call home. Right. So that journey from March through to November, where March was really meant to be our launch, but we ended up doing this long journey of online, trying to figure out how to keep this community existing while we were trying to find a place to meet. That journey from March to November has got to go down as one of the hardest times of my life. But I tell you what, for me, I shift now my perspective on it not being a great challenge of a season, but a season for me that confirms the conviction and the hope and the faith I had in the word that God spoke about a church in this part of the world that was going to bring him glory and that was going to see multitudes come to the Lord in a powerful way. So for me, in the middle of it, you don't feel like that. In the middle of it, I remember just sitting on my kitchen floor, just absolutely defeated, wondering if this was going to survive beyond the first summer and survive until we could find a place to call home and actually launch the church. But after the fact, I can look back now and go, for me, I'm encouraged because it tells me just how much of a conviction I have about what God has called us to do here. And I think that's confirmed by the stories of the people in our church. To me, when I think of stories like Tim and Brittany, and I think of stories like Danny and Ari, and I think of a story like Larissa and Jana, I think of the Joes, I think of Miss Valerie, I think of Rosie and Sebastian, I think of Caleb. I will never be able to shake the reality of our very first worship night that we had in the Den. Is it the Den? Was it called the Den? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. It was the Den. And Caleb coming up to me, and if you know Caleb, I mean, he's a stoic, just upright, stand-up guy. But to see him come with this exuberant joy, just going, I was wrecked by the Holy Spirit in that worship. And that was our very first kind of embryonic stages of the church building before we even launched. And I knew exactly then that this is why we're here. It is stories like that. It is transformation like that. It is God encounters like that for people like him and families like what have now graced and blessed our church. That made me go, this is why we're here. Right. And I think when people ask what the vision of SOZO City Church is, for me, it's found in our name. SOZO City, the idea that God would restore, God would reconcile, God would renew, God would heal, God would make whole, and God would save people again. So every time we say SOZO City, we're believing for God to do all those things in our city. And we often talk about city in the context of the large scope, and we think about the millions and millions of people, but for us, it's the individual stories in our house. The individuals like a Marissa, the individuals like a Wandi, who, by the grace of God, our church and the existence of this church and the existence of our friendship and the friendships she's been able to build in this house have loved her back to life in so many ways. And I think of so many, I think even myself, there's so many things that I was grappling with and wrestling with after our season in Australia, that this church has also loved me and brought me back to life again, to discover who I am, discover what God's called us to do. So it really, we are 1 year in, and I can say we're already seeing evidence of the vision in my heart for what this church could accomplish in this great city, which has been the sozoing of people's lives and families in our community.